Everyone thought he was unbreakable. He was the kind of man people looked at and assumed. Nothing shakes him. Broad shoulders, a calm voice, a steady walk, the kind of strength that made others feel safe just by standing near him. But what people didn't see was the quiet war raging inside his heart. This is his testimony. For years, he carried responsibility without complaint. He worked hard, he provided, he showed up, and slowly, silently, temptation began to circle him, not loudly, not aggressively, but patiently. It came in moments of exhaustion. In loneliness after long days, it came in whispers that said, "You deserve this." "No one would know," the voice said. "You've been faithful long enough," it said. Just this once. You see, temptation didn't come looking evil. It came looking reasonable. It came disguised as an opportunity for faster success if he would just bend his values a little. It came in the form of relationships that looked harmless on the surface but were pulling at the threads of his integrity. It came as chances that only required small compromises, nothing obvious, just enough to blur the line between right and wrong. And some nights he almost gave in. He would sit alone in the dark, hands clenched so tight his knuckles turned white, his heart racing. He would ask himself why doing the right thing felt so painful while doing the wrong thing looked so easy. He questioned God in those moments, not angrily, but honestly. "Lord, I'm tired. Lord, why is it so hard to stay clean in a world that's so dirty? Lord, does my obedience even matter?" What hurt the most wasn't the temptation itself, was the silence. There was no applause for staying faithful, no recognition for resisting, no visible reward for saying no when no one was watching. More than once, he thought to himself, "If I fall, at least this struggle will finally stop." It was a tempting thought, a promise of relief from the constant pressure. But every single time he stood at that edge, ready to let go, something deeper than desire held him back. It wasn't the fear of being caught. It wasn't pride. It was a quiet, unshakable conviction deep in his spirit that said, "But if I compromise here, I lose more than a moment. I lose myself." So he chose the harder road, the road less traveled. He walked away from situations when staying would have felt so good in the moment. He closed doors that others told him were golden opportunities. He said no when yes would have made his life infinitely easier, and it cost him. Let's be real about that. It cost him dearly. He lost opportunities that could have advanced his career. He lost relationships with people who didn't understand his choices. He lost seasons of his life that he can never get back. There were moments he felt completely forgotten, overlooked, even punished for doing the right thing. He watched others who took the shortcuts rise faster. He watched them celebrate their quick wins while he was on his knees, praying through tears, asking God for the strength to endure just one more day. Still, he didn't bow. What people didn't know, what the world couldn't see, was that every refusal was shaping him. Every temptation he resisted was forging his character like steel in fire. Every tear he cried was watering the roots of his spirit, making it stronger. Every lonely night he endured was building a foundation that no temptation, no storm could ever destroy. And then God moved. It wasn't a sudden explosion, not a lightning strike from the sky. It was a decisive, undeniable shift. Doors began to open that no man could have forced open for him. Favor found him in places he never advertised himself. His name was being spoken with respect in rooms he had never even entered. Everything he couldn't achieve by compromise, God accomplished through his faithfulness. The very same people who once overlooked him now sought his counsel. The same world that tried to tempt him now trusted him. His integrity, the thing he fought so hard to protect in secret, became his public testimony. God didn't just bless him, God vindicated him. What the enemy intended to use to break him became the undeniable proof of God's hand on his life. His quiet obedience in the dark spoke louder than any title or accomplishment ever could. His restraint, his self-control, became his crown. And here is the part that still brings tears to his eyes when he thinks about it. When the blessing finally came, it didn't own him. It couldn't control him, because he hadn't sold his soul to get it. He could stand tall, not just because he looked strong on the outside, but because he was finally strong on the inside. Whole, clean, free. Today, when he tells his story, he doesn't boast about how strong he was. He talks about how close he came to falling. He talks about the nights he cried out to God, the prayers he whispered when he felt he had nothing left. He talks about the strength he had to borrow from God every single day because he had none of his own. And he says this with a quiet conviction that silences a room. Compromise promises relief, but obedience brings glory. If you're watching this right now and you're tired of resisting, if you feel like your faithfulness is costing you too much, if you're wondering deep down whether staying true is even worth it, let this be your reminder. God sees what no one else applauds. God honors what the world ignores, and when he decides to glorify you, it will be without a single ounce of regret. Hold on, don't bow, your testimony is still being written. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that inspire.